recently, one of, if not the craziest thing happened in my community. Welcome to a little bit of a different video where I just talk to camera, but I need to tell you guys a story that happened recently that will genuinely blow your mind. At first, I wondered if I should actually share this story, but as time went on, I realised this is too good of a story for me not to tell you guys. So to start from the very beginning, I have a community Discord server. I'm sure quite a few of you are either already in it or see me plugging it a lot in videos on this channel and on the main channel. Overall, it's a pretty standard run-of-the-mill YouTuber Discord. You sort of join, chat with people, and people get pinged when I go live and new videos go up. It's pretty standard, okay? But something we do in this Discord server is community events. Just a quick little plug. If you do want to be a part of any future events that get turned into second channel videos, the link is in the description to the server. Anyway, one of the recent community events that we put on was a fan art competition where the winner would receive £100 as a prize. Pretty much it's what it says on the tin. Viewers would submit fan art of either me or the channel or the characters, and then they would go on to get reviewed, and the winner would get £100. Nothing crazy, just a good bit of fun. It's always great to be able to get artists to show their work off and stuff like that. So I put out the announcement, the event started, it went great. People submitted some wonderful artwork, by the way. Thank you to everybody that took part. It was great fun looking at everybody's artwork. And it was just, a fun competition. So after a month had passed, the competition ended and we had all the submissions. So I went on stream, we reviewed all the submissions, and I painstakingly whittled all the amazing artworks down to just 6 submissions. I'll display here the 6 pieces that made it through to the final vote. Again, very lovely, wonderful pieces, very talented artists. Everybody that took part was talented. I just had to whittle it down to 6. So that's that. Competition took place. We went on stream, we reviewed it, we picked 6. And now, this is where it starts to get saucy. So the night after stream, I took the 6 submissions and I made, yet again, another Discord announcement announcing that the competition had ended. We'd whittled through all the submissions and we'd picked 6. And then, I importantly put out a Discord poll. So the way this works, if you're unaware, is I basically just put all the 6 images up and then gave everybody an option to vote on what artwork they wanted to win. Overall, fair system. I thought I'll put it to the community in the Discord. They can vote, and then the winner that gets the most votes wins the £100. But a very, very important note here is you can set how long you want the poll to run for. I set 3 days. So yeah, the poll went live and people started voting, and I just kind of shifted it to the side, forgot about it because I was busy with main channel stuff. I thought I'll just check in every now and again, and then when the poll ends, I'll see who won. So at first, the voting was actually quite even. A lot of votes spread across all 6 submissions. Then around the 24, 36 hour mark, I did a quick check, and there was a pretty hefty lead from one of the submissions, number 1, which is this lovely piece here. So I just thought, oh, cool. I guess that's the piece that people seem to be liking the most. I mean, they're all very, very impressive, great pieces, but I guess people were just taking a liking to this one the most. It was actually winning so much that at one point it was leading by around 30 votes, which is quite a high percentage of the voting pool. And I kept keeping an eye on things, and I thought, okay, hook, line and sinker, this person's got it in the bag. They've won it. GG. So skip forward a bit, and there was around 10 hours left on the vote. And meanwhile, I was doing what every human needs to do every now and again, having a poo. So I was sat on the toilet and I pulled out my phone, as you do, and I was browsing my different apps. And I thought, you know what? I'll just open the Discord, read through the general. And basically, there's a little channel in the Discord server that's in pretty much every server that tells you when new members join. It's a public channel. Everybody can see it. It just kind of, as you join, it just says welcome and it just lists everybody's name. So with my server being a relatively new server, we probably get around 5 to 10 members joining a day. So there I was, dropping the kids off, whatever you want to call it. And then I opened this new members channel to see, how many people would have joined that day. And I noticed that within the last hour, there had been 30 people join in a row. Bang, 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 all the way down. I thought, that's strange. 30 people, that's a bit weird, and all with an hour span. And I wrote in the staff chat that we have in the Discord, I was like, oh, this is weird. Why do you think we have so many people that have just randomly joined? Bear in mind, it was like 10 p.m, 11 p.m. at night, and we just had 30 people randomly join. Isn't that weird? And we thought maybe one of the videos or a couple of the videos had got into the algorithm and we just had a weirdly high spike of joiners. And then I thought, I don't know, that seems a little bit far-fetched. And then obviously your mind starts to wonder to what if the server is being raided? So a common thing that happens in a lot of Discord servers is people will raid Discord servers. It's basically either they'll get a bunch of real people to join or they'll get a bunch of robots to join the server and basically just fill the server with fake members, bots, robots, whatever. But Discord has a pretty decent integration where it will actually tell you when there is a high number of joiners and if they look suspicious and if it's a bot or if it's a raid or whatever. And we have had that happen a couple of times when people have joined and we've had to clear it because it hasn't been bots. But usually when we have a high number of joiners, it does send us a message and it informs us that there's a potential raid. And we hadn't got one of those alerts. But I thought, you know what? Let me just do a little bit of digging. So on the surface, these accounts that were joining the Discord didn't look like bots. They had profile pictures, they had usernames, they had bios. I thought that is really weird. On the surface, they don't present immediately like they were bots. But then as I was clicking on each of the profiles, Discord shows you when the account was made and when they joined your Discord server. And as I started to click one after the other, I started to notice that all the accounts were made on the same day that they were joining the server. Almost like they'd been made and then immediately joined. And I started to think, okay, this is clearly some sort of setup system. It is a group of bots, but however they're being made, somebody's got something in mind where they're giving them creative usernames, profile pictures, and bios. I mean, there were bios with ASCII art in, there was bios with how the person was feeling that day. It was all very convincing. So with the knowledge in my head that there was a flurry of bots that joined the server, that kind of only added a layer of confusion because I was thinking, well, what could possibly be going on? And then as I was sat on the toilet doing a poo, I literally, like Sherlock Holmes, was thinking, okay, let me take a step back. Is there any reason or anything that's going on in the server that might prompt a bunch of fake accounts to join? At first I was scrambling my brain trying to think, but nothing came immediately to mind. And then all of a sudden, I remembered the Photoshop competition. The voting was still live. And I started to wonder. I thought, there is no chance. There is no chance what I think is happening is actually happening. So I open the announcement channel, I look at the Discord poll, and the first submission was at the top. And then suddenly, submission number 3, which had a few votes, but it was one of the kind of slow runners. You know, it wasn't a close contender, let's put it that way. All of a sudden, I noticed that it was 2 or 3 votes under the top. So it had gained around 30 or 40 votes within a day. And then, literally in front of my eyes, accounts joined the server and then the vote ticking up. I literally sat there and I could not believe my eyes. I was watching the vote be botted in front of my eyes. And just to make sure that my hunch was in fact correct, you can see on the poll how many votes each one has and all the users that have voted for that specific submission. So what I did is I would check the new members that were joining and then I would see the poll tick up and I would click on the member list that voted for that submission, and lo and behold, the username of the bot that had joined was on that submission. This was literally a geopolitical scandal in my Discord server. I was mind blown. I was going crazy in the staff chat. I was pinging the mods. Oh my God, guys, look at what is happening. This is crazy. Somebody is rigging the vote right under our noses to try and win £100. And what I did is I watched the vote and I literally watched submission 1 and then submission 3 go ding, ding, and then finally one last vote and it moved up to the top of the list. And I thought, you little bugger. So what we did is we banned all the accounts. And thankfully, when you ban the bots, it removes their votes on the submission. So as we were banning these accounts, we watched submission 3 drop down around 30 to 35 to 40 votes after we banned all the accounts. It had gone all the way back down. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to dance around the speculation here. I just full blown added them in the general and said, hey, look, there's bots joining. They're voting for your submission. Are you by any chance botting the vote to try and win? When I pinged them, they were offline. I then saw them on the side of the server, come online, and then vanish from the server. That's right. When I called them out, they literally red-handed caught, just left. No messages, no apology, no my bad, just left. I was thinking, hook, line and sinker, I am Sherlock Holmes. And one thing that was really strange was the artwork was actually genuinely really good. It was really great. Now, I don't know if that person produced that artwork or if the kind of person that's willing to scam a poll probably commissioned the artwork and then submitted it as their own. I have no idea. But I don't know how badly that person needed £100, but they went to some crazy measures. And obviously this goes without saying, but one, that's a very shitty thing to do. Two, there were people that worked extremely hard on their artworks and spent many, many hours, and a lot of other people that didn't even get a place in the final to go on to have a fair vote that you have just gone and rigged, which is a really shoddy thing to do. But thankfully, we caught it just in time. The poll ended. Submission one won. I announced it. I pinged them. I DM'd them. They were lovely. I sent them the £100 and the poll was saved. The day was saved. But the story doesn't end there. And I just want to say, I know every YouTuber says this, but it goes without saying, use common sense. Please do not add this person or message them or anything. Just let it go, okay? When the news dropped in the server about the rigging, it was, people had a lot of fun with it. They were, oh my God, a scandal in the Joeseppi Discord. It was good fun. It was fun besides the shitty activity that was going on. But it got me thinking, when I saw the user that did it, something in the back of my head, it rang a bell. This person, they're relatively active in the Discord, which was also weird. They'd been in there for a few months. They'd been in the Twitch streams. They'd typed in chat. They'd communicated with everybody. But their name rung in the back of my mind as somebody I had interacted with in the past, kind of directly. And I remembered a few months prior, we had done a Photoshop competition. And I remember there was a piece that looked like this that got submitted. And it actually went on to win the Photoshop competition. We put a poll up, people voted, and it won by 1 vote. And I started to think, 1 vote. Let me just go and check who that person was. So I scrolled back up in the announcements channel, and lo and behold, it was the same user that had submitted the Photoshop entry, and they had won the poll by 1 vote. They had won the competition, and I had gifted them a Steam gift card as the prize. And at this point, I was getting kind of nervous. I clicked these submissions, and there were bots on the voting list of that Photoshop competition. So not only had they botted or attempted to bot and win the fan art competition, but they had successfully botted and won the Photoshop competition months prior by 1 vote. That means they had botted just a few votes to beat somebody out that was real and not rigging their vote. And they went on for me to gift them a Steam gift card, and then they have now been caught out and left the Discord server. Overall, a bonkers story. One of the craziest things that had ever happened in my Discord server. Thank you for coming to my story time. Again, please feel free to join the Discord, take part in any future events. If you're an artist or an editor or you're creative, genuinely, they are great fun. Come along and join the Twitch streams too. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. But again, please, if you join, do not message them. Do not be strange. Do not be weird. That is not the purpose of this video. I just wanted to tell you guys the story because it was genuinely one of the most mind-bending things I have ever witnessed within my community online. It is crazy and very scummy. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. If you're seeing this, I don't know when this is going live. It's not on the most complex video, so I'm sure you're seeing it soon. There will be a very, 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 very big main channel video going out soon. And there will also be a very, very exciting announcement coming in December. One of the biggest things I've ever done on my YouTube career journey, whatever you want to call it. And with all that said, goodbye.